Hello, you are listening to Underscore, a show by the Chicago Graphic Design Club. I am your host, Christian Solorzano, and on today's episode, I have the pleasure of speaking with Ashley, a designer and illustrator at Chicago's beloved Lincoln Park Zoo. And together, we're going to be unpacking her trajectory and everything that has led her to a 10-plus year role at the zoo and everything that led up to that, starting from her fascination with Disney princesses, going back to her childhood, that becoming something of a fascination with illustration, music, album covers, and eventually going to Columbia College for design, where she eventually taught design as well, up until a few years ago. So we talk about that, we talk about the importance of mentorship, giving back, and also giving back and helping others as a way of really understanding what you think you know about our profession and our craft. So great conversation that I hope you enjoy. And as always, if you enjoy conversations like this, I appreciate your support. And if you leave us a rating wherever you listen, it really helps us expand our reach. Thank you and enjoy the conversation. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, Christian. How are you?
Good. Nice to, first of all, to meet you in person.
Yeah.
And I want to say special shout out to Johnny May, who is our mutual connection that made this, that made the connection and made this possible. So Johnny, if you're watching, thank you.
Thank you, Johnny.
And I learned that you and Johnny met through AIGA Chicago's mentor program years ago.
Yes.
And I was also part of that mentor program. And I'm sure you and I were probably under the same roof at some points.
Yeah, I was actually looking into that. And I think we were doing that around 2016, 2017, around that era.
Yeah.
And I think I started being a mentee of Johnny. And then the next year, Johnny was like, do you want to just run a program together? And that's how I became a mentor and worked with Johnny. And that was really how our friendship began.
Very cool. So I want to understand your introduction into graphic design. I know that illustration has played a big interest and role in your life. And I want to learn a little bit more about where that interest came from.
Sure. Do you want to talk about illustration or graphic design?
Anything. Anything creative, really.
Okay. I think I've been drawing as long as I can remember. I was like, it was just one of those things I was always good at as a kid. And I just kind of always knew I was going to be drawing in some capacity for like my life. Like as a kid, you know, I was like, I was really into watching, you know, all the Disney princesses and stuff. And I just wanted to draw them. And that's kind of how I started drawing things. You know, just like tracing the VHS boxes, you know, while I was watching my movies. And then I just started drawing a lot. Like at school, I was like the kid that knew how to draw good. You know, that's kind of like what I was known for. But I didn't really learn about graphic design until I was a little older, like until I was in high school. And it's funny because like I hear a lot of people on your podcast say that. Like so many people are like, I didn't know what graphic design was until like I was a little bit older. And for me, that was when I started getting into music. I got really into like album cover artwork, which I think many of us get our start into graphic design that way. I was really into like Raymond Pettibon and like kind of that, you know, aesthetic of like the ink drawings and stuff. And then I got really into like the silkscreen concert posters. I was a big fan of like Jay Ryan and Bird Machine Press and stuff when I was in high school, and just started collecting posters. And I started realizing that like illustration and images could exist along with text and fonts, and that was called design. You know, that was kind of like my first introduction as to what graphic design could be.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite Disney princess?
Yes, childhood me was probably really into Ariel from The Little Mermaid.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
I don't think I've only ever watched Pocahontas and I think Snow White. I was a PBS child.
Oh, that's so fun, though.
So that was like my childhood cartoon watching.
My kids are growing up as PBS children.
Yeah.
Although we are starting to get into Disney a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm revisiting all of that now as a parent.
Yeah. And do you remember what the feeling was like when you first created something, like let's say an illustration or something, when you were consciously aware that this is design that I'm creating right now?
I mean, I remember like drawing stuff. I have this really silly memory of being like in elementary school, and I was like kind of a jokester in class. Like I had this little side hustle going in school where I would make little signs for people to put on their desks. And like people would be like, "Oh my God, I lost my eraser. Can you put up a sign?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got this." And so I would make these like little signs for my friends. And I guess that was my first graphic design gig.
Did you get paid?
Yeah, you know what? I think I got paid with like candy or something, stuff like that.
Yeah. I remember when I was in elementary school, the boys loved to do Old English lettering because it was tough and gangster or whatever.
Yeah.
And they would draw your name and you'd pay them like, $1 or something.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then the girls would do bubble letters and like they would charge like $1. So it was like bubble letters for the girls and then like black letter for the guys.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a girl who would she would sell song lyrics. Like she would just had a printer at home and she would be able to print song lyrics and that to me was kind of like the introduction of like design as being something that could like make you money.
Yes.
So I love hearing stories about childhood kind of being the gateway into career in design.
Yeah.
Yeah. So mentorship. So first of all, I want to mention that you have one of the coolest jobs. I feel like you work at Lincoln Park Zoo, which for most kids, I feel like animals like are amazing.
Yeah.
So like to be able to do design and also work for an institution that is centered around animals is really cool. And you've been there for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about how that happened and how does one I'm very curious.
Honestly, it happened because I applied for a job here and I got hired. I honestly didn't even know the zoo had graphic designers. It's not something I ever thought about. But like, as a kid, I was also one of those kids that was like really into animals. Yeah. Like I had a subscription to those zoo books that would arrive in the mail, and I was always watching like National Geographic shows, and I was just really obnoxious about it. And I kind of like was like, okay, if I'm not going to be an artist, I'm going to be a veterinarian. Yeah. And the veterinarian career did not pan out. But when I saw the job posting for the zoo, I was like, oh my God, it's like the perfect intersection of all of my interests. Yeah. And by the way, I was hired as a production designer. That was the role that they had posted. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but it has designer in the name, so I'm just going to apply for it. And I actually applied for this job when I was doing my internship at Some Odd Pilot. And it was such a departure from the work I was doing at Some Odd Pilot, because when I started there, I was like, oh my God, I really want to work in like a cool design studio and like, do some cool work like this. And then I saw the job at the zoo and I was like, that could be cool too. And I applied for it on a whim, heard back like 3 months later. And the next thing I knew, I was working at the zoo.
So what was some of the production design stuff that you were doing when you started?
I'm going to be honest with you. I think that job title was mislabeled because one of my first assignments starting here at the zoo was that I had to come up with a brand concept for a new event that we were doing called Fall Fest. Yeah. And I had no idea what I was doing. There was a little bit of turnover happening in the department, so I didn't actually have a design director either. I had another colleague who was also a designer who still works with me today, and no one knew what was going on. And the next thing I knew, I was just kind of working on a branding campaign for a new event at an institution that I had just started working for. I'm really proud that I rallied because I was like freaking out on the inside. And I was like, I don't know anything about this. I don't know what I'm doing. And we actually still use some of those assets to this day that I designed in that first week. So it it was kind of like a intense intro to the work I'd be doing here.
And how has your role evolved over the last 10 years?
It's evolved quite a bit. When I first started working here, I was strictly doing design work. They didn't really have a need or an interest in me doing illustration work. And even at the time, I had really shifted my focus to just design. Like when I started mentoring with the with AIGA and started like my internship, I was like, okay, I'm pivoting from illustration to design. I'm gonna get really into design. And I just put like illustration on the back burner. And it wasn't until like a few years into my role here that I shifted my title a little bit. I became just a designer, not a production designer. And I experienced some things happening in my personal life that made me realize that I really missed drawing, and I really missed that illustration history that I had. And I brought it up with my manager at the time, and I was like, hey, like, is there a way that I can, start to incorporate illustration into the work that I'm doing here at the zoo? Because I really miss it. And she was really supportive, and she was like, yeah, let's figure out how we can start to like bring some of that, back into our brand, and how we can kind of integrate it into some, projects that we're doing. And so it just kind of started slowly, where I was like identifying, needs that we had at the zoo that we could potentially use illustration for. And then I just started being, a little more confident, and gaining that confidence and being like, yes, like I am an authority on this. Like I know about illustration, I know about design, and I know how we can, bring those two together for this institution. And over the years, it's kind of evolved into me being kind of the go-to person on the team who handles like illustration requests. We have a few freelancers that we work with, and I kind of like the one to identify like when do we hire a freelancer? When do I do the work? And now I have a really awesome junior designer on my team that works for me, and they do a lot of illustration work. And so it's kind of like my job now to figure out who's doing what that style is, and where it fits best in our work.
Yeah, I like that. And you taught for a little bit at Columbia College.
I did.
And you also went to school there.
Yes.
And then you taught there.
Yeah.
So talk to us about, where are you originally from?
So I'm originally from the northwest suburbs.
Okay.
I grew up in Crystal Lake, and I went to school at Columbia College for illustration. It was one of the only schools nearby that had a BFA in illustration, and at the time I was like die-hard illustrator. I was like, I am only illustrating for the rest of my life. I need a program that does illustration. And so I ended up at Columbia College. I graduated in 2009, and it wasn't until I think it was 2021 that I started teaching there. So it was a really big time span from the last time I had set foot at Columbia to when I started teaching. And the department had changed a lot, in like a lot of really good ways. And I had never really considered teaching until 2021 or whenever that was. And I was kind of recalling my time with the mentor program at AIGA, and I loved mentoring. And I was like, I wonder if I should explore teaching. And they had an adjunct position opening, and then I interviewed with some of my old professors, which was really silly and fun, and started teaching shortly after. Yeah.
Did you have Guy as a professor? Guy via?
I did not.
Okay.
I know who that is or was, but like I did not have them.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Columbia College. I've always respected like their design programs there, and I really like a lot of the stuff that they do. Most recently, I went to. They have this big event at the end of the year called Manifest. Yeah. And it's just floors of different creative arts disciplines. So I was very impressed.
Yeah, it's a really it's a cool thing that they do every year, and I remember doing that as a student. So it's when I was teaching, and by the way, I was teaching up until my second child was born, and then I was just like a full-time job, 2 children, and I'm teaching adjunct on the side. That's too much. Yeah. That was the only real reason I stepped down from teaching, but it was really fun, and I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed working with the students, and it was really cool being in my old school again, and like kind of seeing how things have changed and how some things have remained the same.
Yeah. And given that mentorship seems like it plays a big role in your life, in your profession, when you were a mentee, what are some of the things that you found yourself like learning? Like, what were some of the biggest lessons that you feel like you learned through your mentee experiences?
Yeah, I mean, since Johnny was my mentor, that was like an amazing mentor relationship, because Johnny is just like so knowledgeable and like has so much experience. And I think for me, like, it was a little bit of a crash course in graphic design, because when I went to Columbia, my focus was illustration, and I didn't really have like design classes at the time. Like, I did one typography class and one like 2D design or whatever. And there seemed to be like a really big distinction when I was there of like, are you an illustrator or are you a designer? And I think now it's much more integrated. But at the time, I was so like insecure about my design skills, and like I felt like I had no idea what I was doing. And so when Johnny was my mentor, he gave me like a real crash course in like design. Like, and we started with my resume and just like kind of looking, like really focusing on the typography and the page layout. And those were some of my earliest like design lessons. And it's like kind of stuck with me through my whole career. Just that basic feedback from Johnny at that time.
Yeah. And you were also a mentor, correct? And what was that shift going from mentee to mentor?
For me, I feel like it was a really smart thing on Johnny's part, because Johnny was like, hey, like, you're like more experienced than you realize or than you're giving yourself credit for. I think you can be the mentor to some people. And I was like, what? And I really feel like that was Johnny's secret plan all along. And he was just like, no, look, you can do this. And I think that was like a first moment where I was like, oh, wait, I do actually know some of this stuff. And I like gained a lot of confidence, like kind of mentoring others. And, you know, there's like that saying or whatever that's like, if you're learning more when you're teaching other people something. Like, it's being reinforced in your mind. And I think that was true for me when I started like mentoring others on like my design and illustration experience and like, you know, all that stuff. It just kind of like solidified in my mind. I'm like, yes, like this is stuff that I know. And it's also a way to like help others and give back. And it was awesome.
So like confidence tends to be something that I feel like creative people sometimes struggle with, just because my observation is that creative people tend to be more sensitive and often more emotional. Yeah. Speaking for myself and speaking for a lot of my peers. So how'd you build up the courage to be more confident and to trust your voice? Because I feel like that's sometimes the differentiator between a designer being good and being great. It's that confidence. Yeah.
That took a lot of time.
Okay.
I mean, even like, I remember like, even when I was interning at Some Odd Pilot, I was so insecure and so like, just like shy. I was like, oh my God, everyone around me is so talented and they're so smart and they're doing cool stuff. And I was like, I have no idea what I have to offer, like, or what I'm even bringing to the table here. And I don't think it was until like, I don't know, like a few years into my role here at the zoo when I started gaining some confidence, but I think also just like having some life experiences and just like stuff that comes naturally as you age, when you're just like, oh yeah, like I got this. Like it's not as scary as I thought. And it's like just kind of learning how to like trust myself to start with. And then I learned how to like trust my skills as a designer, as an artist, as an illustrator. It just kind of all like follows that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And when it came to working professionally in design, did you find it difficult to because one of the things that I sometimes notice as well is that designers tend to identify with the work that they're creating. Like it feels like it's a part of them as opposed to as opposed to a solution to a problem. Yeah. And have you been able to make that distinction throughout your career, or do you find that you find it difficult to separate Ashley from the work?
I think only recently I've been able to separate myself from the work. I think before, like I was super sensitive and I put a lot of heart and soul into like the work that I made. And when it wasn't well received or, sorry, there's like squirrels above us right now. When it wasn't well received or if I got some, tough criticism, that was hard. Like I took it personally and I'd be like, what's wrong with me? And I think now I'm like, like that happens. The work that I make is not a reflection of who I am, like as a person. If I do good work, that's awesome. If I don't do good work, like that just means I need to try again. And I'll do better next time, probably, maybe, I don't know. Or maybe I won't, and that's okay too.
I remember my first job out of college, we would do these bi-weekly design reviews where we would tape up the work onto the wall. And it was always the most like nerve-wracking experience because you'd like be working on it up until the last minute of print. And then you'd print it and you'd be like, oh my God, there's a typo or there's like something feels off and it was just so terrible. And I recall people would sometimes would cry when they would get critiqued. It was terrible. And luckily, I don't know how you at the zoo work, but like most of my work today is all digital. So I never print anything. Do you find yourself still, I'm guessing there's a lot of printing involved with a lot of what you do, or what's the...
that's a good question. I mean, I think we're pretty hybrid these days, digital versus print. I mean, the work that we do, there's such a wide range of the work that we do. So there's a lot of work that we do that's like on grounds, for instance, the signage, that's obviously all printed and tactile. That's not something that we would print in-house. That's something that we use a variety of vendors for. So even when we're kind of like, taking a look at that stuff or critiquing, it's probably going to be on our screens before we actually see the printed product. But now, of course, we do a lot of digital work. We do a lot of digital ads. We have digital signage on ground now. We have an app, things like that. So we are mostly critiquing, through an app that we're using to like share projects and get feedback and approvals and stuff. Every now and then when we're doing something, it is nice to kind of like print things out and put it on a board and be like, everybody take a step back and look at it, old school like that. But that's like really important still, I think, to be able to do that as a designer.
And as a designer, what are your favorite aspects of design? Is it typography? Is it color, illustration? I'm guessing, but like, what's the one thing that you just obsess over?
I'm kind of a type nerd a little bit. And not that I like know anything about typography, but I am a huge nerd. And so I think I'm going to like obsess over the type first and foremost. I love critiquing like type layout. I love looking at, the font that we're using and how that's working. And I've always been pretty insecure about colors, which is a new thing that I'm trying to learn about. So color is always going to be my kind of last thing that I, critique, because I'm like, oh, I'm not sure. Like, it's like uncharted territory for me.
I remember there's a few, you maybe saw this, but a few years ago, there was like a big debate on the color of a dress. And people were like, is it blue? Is it gold? Like people were so undecided. And ever since then, I kind of started to believe that color is like super subjective.
Totally.
And like, sometimes people will design stuff in color and they'll like walk me through their rationale of like what the color means. But at the end of the day, I feel like it's up to the person that's interpreting the color. Like some people love green, and like it doesn't matter what you think green means. It's what the other people are ultimately going to interpret that. So I don't like color for that reason. I
actually took a color theory class at the Art Institute last year. Because I was like, oh my God, like this is the year I get into color. Like I'm gonna learn this. And I took this like continuing studies class, which was awesome, by the way. And I realized I actually knew a lot more than I thought I did. But again, it was like kind of having someone to like kind of teach that to me in a formal setting to remind myself, I'm like, yes, like I do know this stuff. And then from there, I'm getting pelted with sticks and stuff. from there, I signed up for an oil painting class to like further torment myself in the subjectivity of color. And that's kind of where I'm at right now in my like personal practice. I'm just like reminding myself daily that I know nothing about color and that it is so subjective.
Yeah. and as so you have 2 children and they're both young. They're kids.
Yes.
Have you noticed a reappreciation of the basics of seeing the world? Like, I imagine that through their eyes, you may be re-experiencing things for the first time, like whether it's PBS or like Disney or something. But has motherhood changed your eye?
It definitely has. I think also more than anything, it's drastically changed the way that I work and the way that I practice. Like, and yes, it is like, it's been fun kind of rediscovering, you know, childhood through my kids' eyes. My kids are 2 and 4, so they're very young, and we are doing a lot of like, you know, watching PBS and watching cartoons and, you know, reading children's books. It's been so fun to rediscover some favorite children's books and kind of think about the illustrations and the text and the words as I'm like reading to them. That's been like a really sweet journey kind of to go back on, especially as an illustrator. But I think like more than anything, it's being a mother has changed how I, you know, think about the work that I do and how I prioritize my time and how I just don't have time for, you know, BS anymore. Like I just have very limited time that I can focus on a project. And so now I'm so much more efficient. I'm just like, what do I need to get something done? You know, I'll, instead of like, you know, tormenting myself over like many drafts of something, now I'm just like, nope, that's it. That's the one that works. And we're going to go with that. Like, and it's made me so much more efficient as a designer and just like an artist in general. But also it's made me more confident because I'm like, I don't have time to worry if I'm good enough anymore. Like, I just have to do the work and I just need to see the work done and out in the world. And if it's not the best, that's okay.
Yeah. And do they understand what you do?
No.
Okay.
They
do they know that you work at the zoo and that you're around animals all the time?
They know that I work at the zoo. I think my my 4-year-old, he knows now that I don't work with the animals. He's very disappointed by that. Because I brought him into my office one day, and our admin building is like on zoo grounds, just like across the street. And he, you know, he walked into my office and his face was just kind of like, he was like, Mommy, where are the animals? And I'm like, oh, well, I don't actually work at the animals. You see, I'm a graphic designer and blah, blah, blah. And his eyes just like kind of glazed over. And I was like, he doesn't care. And
as someone that works at the zoo, do you get, I'm guessing your knowledge of animals has expanded like a lot. And if so, can you, just share with us a few milestones throughout your time at the zoo as they relate to your understanding of animals? Like, have you had any close encounters with any animals? Or do you ever I don't know, like, just talk to us about animals.
Okay. Okay. So in terms of zoos, we're actually a very conservative zoo in that we don't like I'm not allowed to touch the animals. Like, I don't get to hold the animals, or I've only been behind the scenes like a couple of times. We're very focused on like animal welfare. So anything that might cause the animal distress or that the animal might not be a willing participant in, we don't do, which is great. But I don't really have any like close encounter stories. I think more than anything, working here has made me realize how little I do know because there are a lot of smart people working here. You know, we have a lot of scientists on staff that are doing amazing like conservation and like research. And I have learned so much from them in my time here. I don't have a specific example. I think it's just like I'm in constant awe of like all the nerds that I work with.
Do you know any of the animals by name?
Yeah, I mean, they all have names. I'm really bad at the names. Like, some of my colleagues are like, oh my God, that's so-and-so. And I'm like, oh yeah, I should know that. I'm honestly, like I'm way more interested in the wildlife that comes here at the zoo. I know I know you're going to ask me what my favorite animal is, because everyone always wants to know. Like, you tell someone you work at a zoo and they're like, what's your favorite animal? My favorite animal is we have these black-crowned night herons that migrate to the zoo every year. And they actually nest in our children's zoo area, and they lay their eggs. They have their chicks and stuff, and then they fly and migrate back to where they came from. And this happens every year. It's like a whole colony, and it grows larger and larger every year. It's a really special thing for us because they're like a protected species, and they've like chosen us, and they make a huge mess every year. They're very loud and messy. They like poop everywhere. Every year I have to make all these signs, that's like, watch out for the poop. And it just like thrills me every year. Like, they're so fascinating. And the fact that they're a wild species that comes here to nest, and they're not even a zoo animal. They're just like a part of the zoo. It's like kind of a part of the story here. They're wonderful. I love them.
What about your least favorite animal?
My least favorite animal? Oh my God. I don't have a least favorite animal. I mean, I like them all. I even like the bugs. I like the spiders. We have a few spiders here.
Have you ever seen like an animal fights? Or does that ever happen?
Yeah. I mean, a couple of our species, some of their like natural behavior is to like fight or to have conflicts. Like, we have a bachelor gorilla troop, and occasionally they get into some tussles, whatever that word is. And they do beat each other up pretty badly. And I have made signs for that, to be like, don't worry, we know the gorilla has a cut on him, but like, that's normal. Like, that's just part of their like, how they like assert dominance and how they like figure out, who's who in the colony. So yeah, we do have fights, but it's all like normal animal behavior.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that when you're working on, let's say, any kind of material or collateral for the zoo, are the animals the inspiration, or how do you like? I'm interested in where you draw inspiration from.
That's a really good question. I think to answer that question, I have to say that like working at the zoo is like, it's like a very unique in-house role in that I have a lot of different clients with really different needs. I counted today because I was like, who are all the departments that I work for? And there's like, I would say like 10 total different departments that I'll work for on any given day. And they all have very different design needs. And so where I draw inspiration from determines a lot on like who that client is. So like if I'm working on a campaign for a development team who are like literally responsible for raising all the money here, I'm probably going to go with like a very like powerful animal. Like, we're going to show like our lions, or something that's a real like a popular species. I'm probably not going to put like, a snake on the cover of something for that, because they'll be like, no, please. Versus if I'm doing something for, I'm trying to think of another example, like events. If we're trying to promote a specific event and there's like an animal tied to that might determine what, animal I'm focusing on. Or like, we might not focus on an animal at all. It might be something to do with our researchers, or like maybe it's our gardens. We're like an accredited arboretum now, so we have a lot of plant species that we're like promoting. So it varies greatly, honestly.
Okay. And then as far as Chicago, I'm interested in like what's kept you here. Like, I know you're originally from Illinois, but is there something about Chicago specifically that you love? Or I'm interested in your relationship to the city.
I love Chicago. I think the scene here is so special. I think everyone is really nice. I think there is something to be said about that like Midwestern like niceness or whatever. I think that what's kept me here is like the community, the design community, but also the city itself. The city is so beautiful. We are, as we sit right now, we're right by the lake. And the lakefront is something that's so unique to Chicago, and I just think it's so special. And as someone who likes, wildlife and, natural spaces, it's really special to find all that here in Chicago. I also I have some history with Chicago. I mean, my, I have some artists in the family. Like my great uncle was a sculptor who, lived here briefly, and his wife was a painter at the Art Institute. And I have a little side research project going on where I'm kind of doing some research into her and her works that she's done here through the Art Institute and just some exhibitions she's had. But I think I have that kind of family tie here, that history here, and also just it's just a great place. I love it.
Yeah, I like that. I do feel like Chicago has it has everything.
Yeah, and it's central. It's you can get to anywhere you need to go from O'Hare, right? And I as someone who's traveled a lot, I like that because I'm oh, it's easy to get to New York. It's easy to get to the West Coast. It's easy to travel internationally. And so it's a great hub to be here.
So when you're not working and you have free time, where can someone find you? What are your favorite Chicago spots?
Right now, I don't have a ton of free time because I am parenting in my free time. So you'll probably find me at a playground with my kids. There's a lot of great playgrounds here. I do love hanging out in this green space by the zoo, kind of on my lunch break or kind of in my spare time while I'm working. I like being close to the lake. I like kind of walking around and just seeing who's hanging out here. What's the public doing? What are the visitors and guests doing here at the zoo? Yeah.
So what do you do when you want to just have a lot of fun? What's your version of just letting loose and
creative wise, I'm getting into painting. I am trying to do something new that's scary, and for me that's oil painting because it's hard and it's expensive and there's a lot of steps and I have to learn about color. And so I think for fun right now I'm kind of let's paint something and let's torment myself and question my ability to make something look real.
And what subject matter are you interested in?
That's a good question. I don't know yet because I'm kind of exploring that right now. But I've been I really want to be someone who can paint hands. Turns out that's really hard. Painting hands and figures is impossible.
It's AI can't even do it.
I know. It's who could do that? I have so much more respect for painters now. Because I feel I could do that stuff as an illustrator, either working digitally on my iPad or sketching. It's a whole different thing when you're painting. And it's just it's my next little hurdle to overcome. I'm just I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna do it. But it's there's a lot of growing pains right now.
Well, it's good that you're doing it. Painting, I only ever really do watercolor because it's very forgiving and if you mess up.
Watercolor is hard.
Yeah, it is. But I've been doing a lot of clowns just because they're fun. They're so colorful and if you screw up, it just becomes a scary clown. So.
I really like that. Yeah, you're I meant for it to look like that.
Yes, I just bought there's a vintage shop up north, I think in Edgewater, and I just bought this really big clown painting, and it's just a clown that's chilling on the couch. It's a clown that's taking a break.
Okay.
And it's in my bathroom, right in front of the mirror. So
oh my God.
When you're washing your hands, you just have this clown behind you that's just laying on the couch.
Casual.
So wow. Maybe you could do a clown.
I don't know, Christian. I'm going to leave that to you. I don't see me painting clowns anytime in the near future, but I'll let you know if I do.
Okay, sounds good. So so in another life, what would you be doing if it were not design?
I think I would be working with plants. I think I'd be working in horticulture. I am a huge plant nerd, and I think I'm like really annoying to the horticulturists here at the zoo, because I'm always like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
What are you planting? Can I help? And they're just like, please leave us alone.
So I'm assuming you have a lot of plants.
I did.
Okay.
And then I had children. Okay. I have a few plants in my house that are very special to me that I've like managed to keep alive. One of them is I have a lime tree named Eric. Okay. Eric has been with us for like 8 years. Wow. And I'm determined not to kill Eric. Yeah. When I had kids, though, I lost a lot of plants because I was like, oh, wow, like, you know, kids are a lot of work. Yeah. And kind of like plants are a lot of work, too. Yeah. And I was kind of like, I have to pick. Yeah. I picked my kids.
Do you have any pets?
No.
No pets?
I can do kids or pets. I can't do both.
You can't do both?
No.
Would you say that you're more of a dog person or a cat person?
I would say I'm more of a cat person. However, I am allergic to cats. Okay. So spiritually, I'm a cat person. Yeah. Physically, I can't be around cats. Yeah. Yeah.
So lately, what's been inspiring you? Like, I feel like design right now, it's at such a interesting point because artificial intelligence is just like unavoidable and like it's just everywhere. And you can't. Yeah. Everyone's talking about it and everyone's making things with it. Yeah. That I find it difficult to not want to participate. Yeah. Because I see what other people are doing with it, and I can't be critical if I'm not actively doing something to like combat whatever it is that I'm judging.
That's a good point.
So, what are your thoughts on just technology? Like, how do you feel about the industry right now?
I wish I had something smart to say to that, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like there are a lot of people much smarter than me who are kind of, you know, answering or tackling this question right now. And like, you're right. I see a lot of good coming out of AI and what AI can do for design and designers and our industry. But I also see a lot of bad. And I think what's like getting me down right now is I'm seeing a lot of friends in the industry, a lot of illustrators, a lot of artists kind of losing out on work right now because they're being replaced a little bit by AI. And that's kind of hard to see, and that's hard to witness. And I don't know what the future holds for that. I think probably it'll like even out a little bit and settle down, hopefully. But I don't know how to feel about it. Yeah. I think right now my response to, you know, all of this technology and advancement is that I'm kind of taking a step back a little bit. And I think it's just a combination of being overwhelmed from parenting and overwhelmed from like, you know, working all the time and also, you know, parenting when I'm not working, is that I feel the need to like get off the computer. Like I need to like step away from the screen. And I think that's why I've kind of been into oil painting, because I need to like revisit like physical artwork, and I need to like literally like touch grass and just like, you know, do something real. And that's been my response. And like, I don't know if that's like the healthiest response to like kind of bury my head in the sand and be like, I don't have the answers right now, but that's kind of where I'm at. And, you know, I'll let you know if that changes in like a year or two, but I'm kind of just like here to see what's going to happen, you know?
Yeah, I like that response because it's so overwhelming. Yeah. Like everything that's going on is so stressful, and like there's just like, it's nonstop.
Totally.
And I feel like every single day I see something new that's coming out. Yeah. And it's just like hard to keep up. So
it is hard to keep up. Yeah.
So I think what you're doing is like the healthy thing. Like you're listening to your body and you're allowing yourself to like learn a true craft, which is painting.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm like, I keep kind of joking, you know, I'm like, oh, if the world ends, like they're going to need sign painters, you know, like this is going to be my value add to society.
Yeah. And what about, do you tend to be like a optimistic person or a pessimistic? Like what's your, are you hopeful about the future?
I think that depends like how much time I spend on Reddit and like on the internet. Because I do find myself getting pessimistic. I'm like a big like sci-fi nerd, and like I think with everything that that happens like in the news and with technology. I'm like, yep, I know where this is going, guys, and it is not good. And then I'm like, wait, like Ashley, come on, because I am like also an optimistic person and generally try to stay like positive. And so I think my instinct is first to be like, this is bad, and then I'm like, wait, like I can, you know, find a positive spin on this. And I think that also comes from like, I kind of see my role sometimes as to be like that like mentor figure, or to be kind of like that like leadership, you know, role or whatever, to be like, to not stress out like either the people that work for me or the people that are looking up to me, and just be like, hey guys, like we're gonna figure this out. Like, you know, maybe that's my mom voice coming out, you know?
What do you look at on Reddit?
I don't know. Just all sorts of crazy stuff. I mean, I got like into it during the pandemic because I was, you know, I became a parent in the pandemic, and there weren't a lot of other communities that I could, physical communities that I could be a part of. So I kind of joined this like, you know, very specific parenting subreddit, and that was my community. Like, you know, we were all like stuck inside and like isolated, and that's kind of what I spent a lot of time doing.
Okay, so like parenting, sci-fi.
Yeah.
What else? Like, what if someone were to open up your YouTube? What's on the homepage?
Oh my God, that's a good question. That's a really good question. Right now, you would find a lot of videos about like Quebecois French, because I'm like a lifelong French learner. And more recently, I've kind of shifted to like Quebecois dialect because I've been spending a lot of time in Quebec. Not planned. I just like, I've had a lot of like things happening there, and so I've been going there, and I'm like, oh, it's so close to us, and I'm more likely to encounter like a French Canadian speaker than a speaker from France. And like, what are the nerdy differences here between this dialect? So I have a lot of YouTube videos on that. I have, YouTube videos on workouts, you know, Pilates. I've got, you know, sci-fi videos. Gosh, what else am I looking at? I'm not prepared for this question, Christian.
That's a good response. I like it's a very tame response. I was expecting some I don't know. I feel like every person has like a corner of their YouTube that they're a little bit ashamed about.
Yeah, they're like their secret YouTube page.
Celebrity gossip, or like just something that's like.
I do love celebrity gossip. I mean, that's more my Reddit corner. You know, just celebrity gossip. I'm on a lot of gardening groups. Local, actually, I'm on a local like gardening Facebook group, and randomly one day, like my sister-in-law posted on it, and I liked the post, and she was like, "Oh my God, you're on this group," and I was like, "Yeah."
That's funny. Yeah. So you, in the beginning, you mentioned that music is was kind of like an influence growing up, like album covers. What's your relationship to music now? Do you still find yourself, is music still a big part of your life?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I love music. I've gone through a lot of eras of music, and I'm kind of like getting back into it after being like, I was kind of in a very like kid music era when my, you know, kids were born, and I was just like baby brain all the time. And now I'm like rediscovering music. Right now, this is kind of an embarrassing confession, but like there's been one genre of music that I've never really knew much about. I never got into, and that is metal music. So I'm like on this journey of like discovering metal. So I've been like asking all my friends who are like big metalheads, I'm like, hey, send me like some recommendations. Like, what should I, like an almost 40-year-old mom, like who's, you know, really embracing her rage, like what should I listen to? Like, please tell me.
Okay, so metal.
Yeah.
Nice. I go through black metal. I don't know if you've been introduced to black metal yet, but
you know, I'm trying to get my like subgenres straight. Okay. So if you wanna tell me about it, please.
It's like just very dark, satanic metal.
Love it.
And it's really fun.
Cool.
Yeah, I used to be into it when I was a kid, and then as an adult, I've been rediscovering it and finding that some of it's kind of silly because it's like so over the top.
Yeah.
It's just like, they take themselves so serious.
It's fun though.
It is really fun.
Like, I really love it.
Yeah.
It's been a joy.
What about video like what kind of content do you consume? Like, what's your video? What do you? I know you mentioned your YouTube, but do you find yourself like watching films or TV shows, or how do you? What are you avid consumer of when it comes to?
This is also embarrassing. I'm an avid consumer of British murder mysteries.
Okay.
Because I find it really comforting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a subscription to BritBox, so I'm basically like an old elderly British lady, like in my consumption. I love. There's like a niche genre where it's like cozy village murder mysteries. Okay. So it's like really low stakes, and there's usually like an amateur detective involved, and there's at least one murder. Okay. And it just follows a very specific like style, and I just find it delightful. It's
like so niche.
So niche. Yeah. And my husband makes fun of me sometimes, but now I think he's into it, and he'll watch that with me.
Very cool. So we talked a little bit about technology and AI, but is there anything else that you feel when it comes to the industry, like what's something else that you see? Like, I'm assuming that with being an educator for some time and working with, let's say, a junior designer, what do you find to be the biggest gap right now when it comes to designers today? Like, what would be your call to action for someone listening that is in a position where they can fill a gap in the community, in the industry, and whatever, the classroom?
That's a good question, Christian. I guess, okay, so to answer part of that question, where I'm seeing like a gap in like young or emerging designers, I think back like when we were in school, like it was encouraged to kind of like find your niche and find like a very specific area that you're good at. And now I feel like we're asking designers to do everything. They have to wear so many hats now. Like you have to know, I don't know, just like think of anything and you're like, they want a designer to do that. And I think that might be the hardest thing. What I'm seeing in emerging designers is that they're kind of just like all over the place. Yeah. They're like trying to do it all, understandably, because they're being asked to do it all. And I think like I would love to see designers find that niche again, or find that, something that makes them unique, and find where they have like their unique voice and bring that to the table, because I think we are lacking that. And I think it shows. I mean, because that's what makes you stand out, right? As an artist, as a designer, as a creative, like kind of like bring your own brand of weird to the table and like just own it. And that's, I think, going to be a more valuable asset than any like AI or like, technology advancement. Yeah,
it's like that point of view that I think matters a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like because of this culture of Pinterest and like Instagram and all these kind of things, like it's easy to create beautiful looking work that lacks a point of view, because you're just using reference material to create something.
Exactly.
So for example, when you're looking for young talents, what's something that stands out?
I think real world experience stands out to me, and I don't mean that as like job experience, because I know it's so hard when you're starting out and everyone's like 5 years of experience and you're like, I just need a job. I think for me, I want to know like, what life experience have you had? Did you grow up in another country? Like, do you have some like weird interests on the side that you do? Like, what are your like, personal interest projects? Do you like to use a unique media? Just kind of like, I just want to know about the person, the individual, that I'm looking at,
Yeah. And when it comes to like, I'm assuming like when you're working, you're leading a team or you're like leading creative, what have you found to be some of the characteristics that you feel like foster the most creative environments?
I think above all else is kindness. I think that when you feel comfortable with a team of people and you feel like you can be yourself, I think that's when you make the best work. And I think that only comes through when everyone is kind and supportive. I mean, obviously I have, experiences from like school and like, other jobs I've had where maybe it wasn't the most supportive environment, maybe it was a little competitive or maybe like needlessly critical. I think, my style is more like uplifting and kind and like supportive. And I think that when the people I'm working with feel supported and feel like they can just kind of relax a little bit, I think then they're more willing to try new things. They're willing to take risks and they're willing to kind of like put themselves out there more. So yeah.
Yeah. I think the like everything that you explain, I think the word that I've heard to describe that is psychological safety, which is to make people feel psychologically safe. Like that, like they can make a mistake and there's not going to be any like punishment or like that kind of thing.
They're not going to feel embarrassed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So
because we make mistakes all the time, and I've embarrassed myself many times, and so I think it's like, it's nice when we know that we can make those mistakes and we're not going to be like made fun of or called out for,
Yeah. Well, what would you say is your most common mistake that you make?
Oh, that's a hard question. Okay. I feel like my most common mistake is that, and this is, I'm so worried about doing this all the time, that I'm missing something like really obvious. Like sometimes, like, I think it's also recently, like, I'm just like so scattered all the time now that like when I sit down to work, if I'm not like focused, if I'm not like in the right headspace, I'll like be working on a brief for a while. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah. Wait, they asked for something totally different. And I just like, I was just like, in the zone, and I just forgot, very important part of the brief or the request, and I'm like, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, it happens. For me, it's email, like any like just written communication. Yeah. I've been thinking about just having a auto reply to my email that just says like, just call me, like, because I don't know. To your point about being on the computer, like I just dread like when you have to respond to long emails and it's just like, I just want to talk. Like, why can't we just talk about this? Why do we need to do a big email? So email is mine. Yeah. So lately, is there anything, any new projects that you're working on that maybe you can tease us with, whether it's like personal projects or something that we can look forward to seeing sometime in the future?
Gosh, you know what? Hopefully you will see a body of work for me that is oil painting. Okay. Once I find the time, that's like my famous last words. I'm like, well, when I have the time, like, and so I'm trying really hard to make that time for myself. I haven't quite figured out what the secret is to being like a working mother and also an artist, because that's really hard. It's really hard to carve out that time to be like, this is my painting time. I haven't figured that out yet, but hopefully you will see a body work for me. I would love to like have a show at some point. I know that's like a really lofty goal, but I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
So these paintings that you're doing, how large are they, and what's the?
I mean, Christian, I've literally done like 2.
Okay. I mean, that's a good.
And they're just on like some free canvases I got from someone who didn't want them anymore. So it's like whatever I find right now. Although I really want to work smaller, because that's my instinct, is to work small. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna find some small canvases.
So paint a picture for us. So like when you're painting, and everything is right. Like it's the perfect mood for perfect everything. Like what are the things that need to be in place in order for you to be in the zone? Is it a time of day? Is it a type of music? Is it what's going on?
Like it's got to be music that I know and that I can either sing along to, or it's got to be like jazz or something, you know, something that I'm not going to get like too distracted by. And time of day, honestly, the time of day doesn't matter anymore. It's just whenever I have the time. Okay. Like last night, I actually had some time to do some painting, and it was like evening, which is not usually a creative time for me, because usually by evening, I'm just like spent. I'm like, I cannot do a single like creative thing. I need to turn my brain off and watch a British murder mystery. Okay. But last night I had some time. My kids were with my in-laws, and so I was like, you know what? I'm going to do some painting, and that was a really productive time because I, just had that space, set up. I could just do like an hour or two of work, and it was great. Yeah. Normally, I'm most creative in the mornings. I'm a morning person, which I know is really obnoxious to some people, but like I do all of my creative work usually in the morning, and then the afternoon is like admin work and stuff. Yeah.
How early of a morning person?
So
like 4 a.m.,
no.
6 a.m.
My kids have made me like a very early morning person. They usually wake up around 6 a.m. So okay. I'm up and at them at 6 a.m. usually, which means I'm at the office doing my creative work at 9 a.m. Okay. I think that's why I'm like, I'm up so early that by the time it's like 7 o'clock, I'm like, I'm done. Yeah. I can't do anymore.
One of the things that I'm always really curious about people is their office essentials. Like, what are some things that you can't live without? And you can't say coffee.
I can or can't?
You can't.
Okay. Okay, so back in the day, I had a very specific office setup. I was like, I have to work in the space, otherwise I won't be creative. That has all gone out the window because I've had 2 kids, I've moved, I've barely unpacked. I do not have an office set up right now. I have a flex space that is kind of an office, but it's also where my kids read their books, and it's also where my husband does his work. And we really haven't unpacked the boxes. And so it's literally just a chaotic mess of papers. Okay. I also have a little space dedicated to painting, also not set up properly.
How recent did you move?
I moved last year.
Okay.
And it turns out that moving with a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old is a nightmare. And so my space is a total mess right now at home. My office here at the zoo, I kind of joke that I haven't updated my desk in like 5 years because the pandemic hit and I just like worked from home, and now I'm kind of getting back into the office and the swing of things. And I'm like, oh my God, like the other day I was like, I have shoes in my desk that don't even fit me anymore because I haven't worn them in that long, So to answer your question, I have learned that I need very little to actually be creative and to make work, and that I can really do it anywhere. Yeah. And that was a good, valuable lesson for me, because before that, I was like, oh, no, I need to have my setup. Otherwise, I won't get anything done. And that actually prevented me from getting things done, because like it had to be like the perfect combination of circumstances in order to feel like creative. Yeah. And now I'm like, oh my God, that's all BS. Yeah. I don't need that. I can really just do it anywhere.
So I feel like this space that we're doing this conversation is like a very appropriate response to just being able to do it anywhere.
We're literally sitting in Lincoln Park on the lawn under some oak trees, and we're getting pelted by acorns and sticks. There are squirrels above us. Yep. And I feel like we've had a very productive conversation.
And the grass is kind of wet.
Yeah, we're sitting on like muddy grass right now. But you know what? We haven't let it bother us.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's very nice. So we're almost at time, but I would love to know, for people that are listening, what's the best way for someone to get a hold of you, and why should they contact you? Like, what are some? I feel like I love your like as I was preparing for this interview, like I just love your illustration style.
Oh, thank you.
And I feel like people should get in touch with you, I mean, that's one of many reasons. It's like just because of your illustrations, and I think just working at the zoo are two very fun trivia facts about you. But yeah, and then also mentorship. I feel like you get, even though I've only known you for a little bit, like I get this impression that you're very giving.
Wow.
So so I guess I answered your question. It's like that's why people should get in touch with you.
I do have a lot of like students and recent grads reach out to me a lot, and that's great. I love that. I give when I can. If I have time to meet up with them or time for a call, I definitely offer that. Let's see. Why should people reach out to me? There's a few different reasons I would love to hear from people. I would love to hear from anyone who's also working in a cultural institution in Chicago. I'm always curious about, people who are designing at like museums or other zoos, aquariums, any cultural institutions like that. I'm always down to chat. I feel like you should reach out to me if you have any, recommendations for metal bands that I should check out. I feel like you should also reach out to me if you have any interesting projects. I'm going to just put it out there. I've always wanted to illustrate like a wine label or like a beer label or something. That's like kind of my dream project. That's never happened. I mean, like I'm always just down to chat. Email's the best place. I'm also like on Instagram. Feel free to message me there.
I think they should also reach out and ask how your painting's coming along.
Oh no! I see. Now that I'm like putting this out in the world, I feel like I'm going to be held accountable.
When is your show?
It's hopefully no time soon. Because last night I sat down to paint and I was like, "That's it. I'm going to paint a hand." And I started painting the hand and I was like, "Oh no!" I was like, "I have a lot of work to do."
Yeah. Well, the Chicago Graphic Design Club, we have this publication that comes out every year, and I think it would be cool to have you maybe paint something for that.
Oh God, okay. You know what? I'm going to.
Yeah.
You said that and I'm like, okay. Because I saw that you put out that like call for submissions and I was like, I have nothing to offer this. Like, I don't even know what I would like submit. But I will try to think of something.
A painting would be cool for illustration, but anyways.
All right.
And that has a deadline and
Oh God, okay. All right. I'll try my best.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you, Christian.
You're so nice. And shout out to Johnny for connecting the two of us.
Yes.
That's what I love about this club is all of the connections and people that know people that make connections happen.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think it's so cool that you started this, Christian, because listening to like all the other episodes of like this podcast, it's really like kind of creating a sense of community because I know a few people that have been on the podcast and I'm like, oh my God, like I should reach out to them. Like it's so fun to hear them talk again and to hear others, talk about design and, art and stuff. And it's just been, it's been a really special thing. So I love this.
It's been fun. And I just love the responses. Like to me, the biggest reward is when someone tells me that they've connected with someone that they heard on the show. I'm like, all right, like I did my job. So it's awesome. So thank you for like being a part of our history and all that kind of stuff.
Thanks for having me.
So with that said, if people want to get in contact with you, I'll include all of your links in the description for this episode. And maybe in the future, there could be some kind of collaboration between the club and either you or maybe the zoo or just something. I feel like
love that.
There's such a, I feel like the zoo is so like you like people understand that there's design that happens at the zoo, but no one really thinks about like who's doing it or how it comes to be. Like it's just like it's there and that's it, but who makes it? So
that's like a whole other conversation.
So maybe that's something that could happen at some time in the future.
Let's do it.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Christian.
Cool. We did it.
Yay. And we didn't get too injured.
Thank you so much for sticking around till the end. If you want to learn more, visit www.chicagographicdesign.club. Thank you and goodbye.